Hey guys, welcome back to another week of the Wanna Be Friends podcast. This is Sarah.
And I'm Elise.
And one day we'll nail that intro.
One day. It is not today, though.
I don't know why that part's so awkward.
Why is it?
It's like me trying to come up to someone and talk to them. It's like, hi, I'm Sarah. I'm 35 years old. I like coffee. What do you like?
Oh my gosh, you have to start introducing yourself to people like that. Like, you know how we talked about Tim just kind of making his way in conversations? Like, that's what you just need to do from now on. Like, just go up to people and be like, hi, I'm Sarah. I'm 31. I like coffee. Wait, 31? You're not 31.
I said 35. I'm 35.
Oh. Where did I get 31?
Listen to me. No, I think that's why I like social media, because I can just kind of put out what I'm about and you can read about it.
Just look
so
at your
then
bio.
You kind of understand. Yeah, just read my bio, please. So you understand me and kind of get a sense of me. And then I don't feel like I have to word vomit.
Less pressure.
It's way less pressure. But
Okay.
Hey,
yes.
speaking of that.
Yeah. So today we are talking about I don't know if we want to say how to make friends as an adult, but kind of
We're
like
not
making
giving
friends
you
as
a formula today.
No,
how to make friends.
But we are going to talk about making friends as adults because it okay, so when we're kids, I feel like it's so easy. Kids just run up to each other and they show you a stick and then you're just best friends for the hour at the playground and you just there's nothing uncomfortable. It's not awkward. You're just friends. How does...
I don't know. It's like every time we've taken our kids to Kid Clubhouse or an indoor play park, it's like my kids' mission is to make 10 new best friends.
How many friends they can.
And they'll just have this group of kids following them around and they're just like, Mom, that's my best friend. Can we exchange numbers? And I don't know their dad.
I remember that story. That was a good one.
That actually is a real life scenario that happened. Kids want to be friends. Mom and the dad, we did not want to be friends. It was very obvious. I think maybe he wanted to be friends in a not so great way, but
he actually started the whole scenario. He's like, hey, you're going to go be friends with that kid because have you seen his mom?
That mom's number. Yeah.
No, but it's so natural to kids, I feel like. And I think that as they do get a little older, it does get harder, but when you're talking 5 to 8 years old, it just feels like it's just the most natural thing in the world for them.
Barriers or preconceived ideas, or worry about rejection or what the other person thinks. They just know nothing about that, about life, I think. So it just makes it so easy for them,
right? So I was thinking okay, so I've spent a lot of time thinking about this lately, because my oldest daughter is 11 and she's much more like my husband. And it is more uncomfortable for her to just start talking to people. Yeah. And my youngest, Nora, she is coming into a bit of a more shy phase, but if you put her one-on-one with another kid or something, she has no problem just becoming friends with that kid.
Yeah.
It's just an automatic for her. She just is so natural at making friends. And I think Ava probably was when she was younger. She was a little more, reserved, but so I've just
starting to learn those things that hinders us from making friends.
Yeah, adults, all the internal stuff where you're constantly oh, but they might not like me, or I don't know, just all the things that happen in our heads that keep us from pushing forward and establishing new relationships. So the thing that I've kind of been thinking about, let me share this with you.
Okay.
I watched Nora at a basketball game recently, and she's sitting there on the sidelines because she wasn't playing at the moment, and this girl was sitting beside her, and I just watched her, and she just started talking to this girl. Aww. And it was fine. She was comfortable. They just hit it off, and I watched them laughing, and I watched it be so natural and sweet for her. And then my older one, same thing. I watched her sitting on the sidelines, and she is by herself. She, tries to keep distance between her and the other kids. And she's a wall. But it's not that she doesn't want to be friends with these other kids. She desperately wants that. She wants to make friends, but she cannot put herself out there. She cannot take that first step.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of talking to her about it, and there was one or two of the girls on the team just kept trying to talk to her randomly, like talk to her. And Ava would like one word answer. That's it. Because she just doesn't know. Right.
I feel like this is me.
And so I tell her, like, I'm talking to her about it. I'm like, honey, they want to be your friend. Yeah. They're trying to talk to you. They want to be your friend. Yeah. And for me, it's so easy. Like, right. I can see they want to be your friend because I'm not in her head, right? I'm not in that situation.
You've learned the art of conversation and stuff like that. Yeah. Where she's still discovering,
right?
Like you have to acknowledge people when they talk to you.
Let's try and like make eye contact. Right. Let's look at them. No, but I told her, I'm like, you know what? Just make them a bracelet. Just make these couple of girls a bracelet and take it to them, and then just ask them questions. Yeah. That is the thing. So like that is what I like have really settled on. Anytime I pay attention to Nora and her interactions with these other kids, she's asking them questions. Yeah. Anytime I am starting, because I have been really working at trying to like be friendly with people, trying to, and so that is what I do. I just ask questions. If you ask people questions, then they are going to feel more comfortable because they are more comfortable talking about themselves than the things that they know. Right. So if you're asking them questions about their life and who they are, what they're up to, or the things that they like, and you just keep that dialogue going, you're going to have a much easier time like establishing a relationship with someone. Yeah. And so Ava made these kids bracelets.
That's so cute.
And it was so cute. Like she was a mess before she gave them to, like, she was like sweaty. Like she was so nervous. She kept like almost like hyperventilating. I don't want to give them to him. I don't want to. And I'm like, I'm not going to make you give the bracelets to them.
So we just come up with so many scenarios in our heads.
But I think that it would be very nice if you did. And I think that you could make some friends. And she finally did. I was so proud of her. And, they didn't start like talking right away, but they did after a couple of practices. Yeah. And we actually just met up with them at the park last week. And so they played for multiple hours and they had a blast. And now she has like these new little friends. And I just think that is like, that is just such, I think it's an art. It's hard to make friends. Kids find it more natural. Some kids, as you get older, it becomes harder because you're in your head. Yeah. But like, I just really think like, let's just go back to that, the asking questions. Let's just talk to people, right? Yeah.
And well, it's different or not different. It's interesting, I think, we're in the season of teaching our kids like this art of making friends and having conversations and eye contact and stuff, while we also internally struggle with making friends. So it's like we're trying to model for them how to make friends and just be in social situations, while we're also just still trying to figure it out ourselves. So I think it's a great thing to say and do. It's like offering, like asking questions. You're trying to get to know like what makes them, and people really do respond. I think about all the fulfilling conversations I've ever had with anyone that I'm involved with in my life, and it's usually from them asking questions. And then you open up and then you start asking them questions, and it really just provides an avenue for you to really discover the essence of who someone is and stuff. And while it may feel uncomfortable, be like, well, okay, what do you do for a job? Yeah. Like, that's interesting. Like we have a friend, Lisa. I still don't understand what she does at her job. She's very smart.
The coolest.
Both her and her husband are very
way smarter than us.
They're like scientists or something. I don't know. But like what their job is very important work and very interesting and meticulous. And I like just don't have the brain capacity. But like I will ask her all the time, like, how's work? And like I probably won't understand a thing that she's saying. And she probably doesn't understand anything I say about my work. But like it's just be able to get to understand each other's worlds and open it up. Whereas like on the playground, you find that one commonality, right?
The
like,
stick.
Do you want the stick? Do you want to go down the slide with me? Do you want to go on the teeter-totter with me? Like, you find that commonality. Now, as adults, you have to do that through conversation. Yeah. And it's just, it's so fun, right?
And I just think back to, like, any time that, okay, so I do think that it's more natural for me to try and, like, go and make friends than you. I mean.
Yeah, for sure.
That's really how we became friends. That's how I've become friends with most people in my life is because I initiated it. Right. And because that is a little more comfortable for me. I'm not an expert at it at all.
You didn't come up with all these like random scenarios in your head. You just like said the words.
I just did it.
Do you want to be friends?
Yes. Or like, you know, hey, you compliment somebody, you notice something really cool about them or something, and you compliment them, and then you let questions kind of, I think, lead the conversation.
Yeah.
And then you're letting them know that you're interested in them as a person, and it's not just, I don't know, like I go back to the sermon yesterday that Pastor Shane like went on about like he just droned on. That's not what I meant. But like that he talked about was like just being, I think, kind of intentional in your friendships. And
well, like, you know, he talked about like there's friendships that come in your life for reasons, seasons and eternity,
lifelong.
Yeah. Like your eternal friends and stuff. And I think that's also something important to kind of keep in mind. If, you know, you reach out to someone, you go out for coffee, and conversation is great, but like it doesn't feel like it goes much further than that. Like I don't think it's a direct reflection on like you or your ability to make friends or anything about you. I think sometimes like people are just in each other's lives for a reason, or it's just for a season.
And we did that study a few years ago, building friendships that fit. So we did a life group.
Holly Furtick.
Holly Furtick.
So good.
And it was really good because I think that I had still always been of the mindset that like you make a friend, that's a lifelong friend. Like it should be lifelong.
Yeah, you're gonna be my life forever.
Yeah, it was just the way that I thought, and that really opened my eyes a little bit to like seasonal friends are okay. There's nothing wrong. Like just because someone is no longer part of your day-to-day life doesn't mean that they're any less a friend or any less a part of your life. Right. It's just that the season changed.
Right.
And a lot of the times I think new moms might experience that if they have friends that aren't moms yet, or maybe when you move from college onto adult life, or married or not married to married. Like
there's always hear like people like, you changed so much after you got a boyfriend.
Yeah.
You changed so much after you got married. I'm like, well, yeah, there's like a natural progression in life that happens here.
Yeah. And so like you might have friends during these specific seasons that were really important to you. And just because your season changed, that doesn't mean that the friendship was any less valuable, even if it's not one of your top friendships right now.
Right.
And I think that it can serve its purpose and still,
Yeah. I mean, I think about, you know, we talked about how I moved here, 6 years ago, and really we had an established community of friends and family, from where we were from. And I loved those friends, and I would still consider them all really good friends, but do we text each other every single day? I mean, I haven't seen some of these girls in a few years. But like, I just know, like last night, a couple of them commented on my Super Bowl post, and like, we were just laughing about things, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I just miss you so much. And they're like, oh, I miss you too. And like, we just kind of like,
pick back up.
Yeah. You just pick right back up. Like no, like, some of them have another husband now, or like they've moved on in life and like things have changed for them, but like we can still just have a very fun conversation and just pick up like no time has passed.
Yeah.
And I think that's, very special that at any time I could drive back home today and I could hang out with any one of them, and it would just be fun and we would enjoy it. But like our season, had kind of come to an end, and I transitioned to a whole different, area in life and season. And so have they. And, but it's not that I regret having those friendships. I don't like mourn, like,
no, life just moved on.
Yeah. It just moved on. And I think that's just a normal progression of life.
So don't get hung up on that. Like if friendships were just for a season, that's okay.
Yeah.
And I think that there is really something to be said about lifelong friendships. I think that people who can just go through all the seasons with you, I think that's super important. But
those are very rare. I feel like the ones that like you were friends in kindergarten and are still friends with them 30 years later.
Yeah.
I think those are super interesting and like intriguing and what a blessing to have. Right.
Yeah.
But I don't think you have to have one of those lifelong.
So I have one of those. One of my best friends, I think we're third grade when we became friends, and we are still very close. We raise our kids together and we do life together. But I will say that like there was a whole lot of learning that went into that type of a friendship. And, we were super close for a really long time. And then we hit these adjustment periods where like our seasons changed. So we were like all things to each other.
Yeah.
We were constantly together. We were just living life, doing everything always together. And then she got married and I expected her to continue that. And she did, because she is a milder personality than me. And then, I got married and my husband was, we worked opposite shifts and stuff. So I still expected that out of her. But like there did end up being a falling out with us because my expectations did not change with the season of life.
Right.
And so we did have
stayed constant or the same.
Yeah. So we did have a period of time where like we were not a part of each other's lives because there were multiple things involved, but like I had to learn that like the relationship has to change with the seasons, even for lifelong relationships.
Right.
And I think that that's important to know that like, just because you have a lifelong friendship, you are going to have to bear with that person when they go through these different seasons. You're going to have grace for that. And you're going to have to change the way the friendship looks in order for it to be a lifelong relationship.
And I really think that spills over even into marriages. I think that's why we see a lot of marriages fail, like especially ones that, were married super young. You go through such a huge, like maturity from like your early 20s into or your 30s.
Yeah.
I know we talked about this before. Like I would never want to go back to my 20s. Like I don't know who that girl was, and I'm sorry for everyone who had to experience 20 something Sarah, but but marriages often fall apart because you expect them to stay the same and to just consistently
be who they were,
but life teaches you so much.
Yeah.
You learn so much. You go through experience. You go through hard things. You go through, really high highs and really low lows. And you have to adapt and change with that friendship or that marriage or that relationship, whatever it is. And not just being like, oh, I wish you were still the same person you were 10 years ago.
And we shouldn't hope that for any of our people. Like you should always want them to continue to like
getting better and learning and growing and stuff. Yeah. So next time you find yourself in like, I wish I had my friends I had when I was 20 something or when I was in high school. Yeah. I'm like, no, none of us should be wishing we were who we were in high school.
Let's grow. Or like in the yearbook comments, like never change. No, please change. Please change and get better.
Because you think you know it all, but you don't.
But so I do think that like there is so much to be learned about the different types of friendships, and I think that it's okay to let some of them go if the season is past or if the reason is past. Like Pastor Shane was talking yesterday, that the reason, like if it's a friendship for a reason, which would be like, what were some examples? Like maybe like working relationships, like your
work. Or like grief periods. I know like a lot of people like kind of find friendship in grief, but then like once you start healing or time kind of like lends itself to healing, you don't quite connect in a way or need that like you did in that season and stuff. So it's
almost more like support, kind of like possibly or so like we can move past these seasons or reasons and the relationships can go also, and that's okay. And we also can hope that we get to be lucky enough that some of them might develop into the lifelong relationships, people that we can carry through our entire lives, and we can adapt to the different seasons with each other, and maybe some we're closer than others, and but we do get to have that, hopefully everyone is getting to have some sort of like lifelong friendship by the time, as they age or whatever.
Yeah.
But
And I think as we get older, we tend to like, I don't know, maybe understand some of these practical parts of having friendships. So you kind of like value them or hang on to them a little more, or you like, we've just learned how to adapt and move and navigate friendships. So like friendships last a little longer. Whereas like when you're in high school, like it's all about like what circles you run in or what club you're part of or, what organization you work with. Like they're very situational, I think, friendships. Whereas when you navigate, you're trying to raise kids and you're getting married or, whatever the, season of life that you're in, or you're like even empty nesters. I think once, you guys hit that point where your kids have left the house, like you really kind of fall back on those relationships that maybe you weren't as close with, but then you're like, okay, I'm not in the season of raising kids. So you really have more like capacity to pour into your friendships and stuff like that.
Yeah. And I think that, we all probably just like as adults need to just understand that like, in order to have these relationships, we have to put ourselves out there. Oh. Like that's one of the big things that you do. Yeah. That's one of the big
news for me, guys.
That's just one of the big important things. Like it's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be awkward. And you're probably going to find people that don't receive you super well. Like I could randomly talk to somebody and they could be like right on my level and we could end up like exchanging numbers right away.
Right.
And it could be great.
Yeah.
And there's other times where it's just like I'm hit with a brick wall and it's a little uncomfortable. And those are the conversations, that I typically like play over in my head. Like, we've talked about, but in order to get to the ones that are going to like actually develop into something, you're just going to have to try. And I think that for me as an adult, I have really learned that like putting myself out there, I don't need a ton of friends, but I also need to be the light of Jesus to others. And that is an area where we can really do that, is like just developing these relationships with people we didn't know. And how are they going to know about Jesus if we don't start trying to show them? And I think friendship is a huge way of doing that.
Right. And then I think that it's something unique on my end is being in full-time ministry. It's like, yes, friendships, I've had them, I've not had them, I've had close ones, I've had not so close ones and stuff. But I feel like I'm always constantly talking to people because it's just kind of part of our job. Like we're just trying to make a connecting point with each person that walks through the door. Like we want to make sure that someone has, connect with them, that they feel welcome, that they feel seen, and which is something so important. Especially if they have a personality like mine. We don't want to be the center of attention, but we want to be acknowledged that we exist. And you just never know what people are going through. You just don't know. And just that simple, like, hey, I really like your coat. Or like, did you do something new with your hair? Like, those little comments go such a long way. And like, I'm not going to be best friends with every single girl that walks through our church doors, and they don't need to be my best friend. Like I know I'm not right for every single person, and that's okay. But I think not being so like, well, no one wants to be friends with me, or you kind of like crawl inside yourself. You're like, I'm just gonna stand over here in the corner because no one needs to, be around this. Like I think just even if you're not intentionally trying to make friends, but just like making that personal touch with someone. Yeah.
And just connecting with someone.
Just a little connecting point. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, but just think about all the times that someone's caught you and been like, hey, like, you look really good today, or you look really pretty, or just, just making one little comment, how like special that feels. And you just never know like where that might lead. That conversation might lead into something bigger. Or greater or deeper. And sometimes that might be the last time that you talk to that person.
Yeah, but it's not that hard. Well, it might be a little hard to put yourself out there.
Yes.
But doing that and
it's a small thing that you can do.
It's a small thing that you can do to
it's
work
a manageable
towards.
thing that you can do.
Yeah.
It's a good conversation.
That was a good conversation.
Because we're adults now. I don't feel like I'm an adult sometimes, but friendships is always something that it's going to be part of our lives.
Yeah.
They're important, they're special, and they're biblical, right? I mean, there's lots of friendships that were modeled for us in the Bible. So I think that's also another important way is look at like, okay, God, what kind of friends do you want me to have in my life, or for this season, or for a reason, or, you know, or for a very long time. It's just something I know I always pray. So I hope that you guys have found some sort of encouragement in this, no matter what season of life you're in, with friendships and stuff. But maybe you can make one small touch, one small connecting point with someone this week, whether just complimenting them or maybe sending an Instagram message saying, hey, do you want to be friends? Or do you want to get coffee? I
highly recommend that option.
You never know what's going to happen, but we hope you feel encouraged today and inspired. We'd love to hear any of your fun friendship stories. You can leave us a comment or send us a message. But until next time, we'll see you guys.
See ya.